to share my 15 years knowledge in industrial hemp, but 40 years of history in agronomy. So I've been an agronomist for 40 years, and I've had the fortune of working in Asia. And so Northern Australia, far north Queensland, Northern Territory and WA are great to be able to do projects like this, because I've had experience with these crops in Asia as well, at the similar 0 to 20 latitudes that you get in the tropics. So this is, we're discussing industrial hemp. So it's low THC. So all the hoo-ha about cannabis is reduced because we only allow the growing of low THC cannabis, below 1%. And that is what is unique. So it's nothing to do with the high THC or the medicinal. That is a completely different industry. Same crop, but just doesn't have the THC component. And I will finish with a little bit on kenaf, because I feel that is a much more suited plant to the tropics. As I said, it's a multi-purpose superfood, meaning delivering fiber, food, wood plastic replacements, and much, much more. Thanks. So it's an misunderstood plant. The CGIRs of the world, like the Centre for International Ag Research, we call them the orphan crops. There's been billions spent on every other rice, wheat, maize, crop in the world, but nothing has been spent on kenaf and industrial hemp. So let's try and learn more about these crops. So I'm going to start with some references so you know that there is such things exist. So AgriFutures, which is in the bottom there in the red, have online for free a 60-page growers guide, a strategic R&D&E plan. There's also a developing a Northern Australian hemp industry value chain document. It's been written for WA and NT. Hemp kenaf poster, it's behind me, and you'll see it later, was presented at the CRC for Developing the North. And there are 2 years of trials we now have got under our belt in the Ord at Kununurra and in Katherine. And we've got commercial crops in far north Queensland, Townsville, and I'll share some of those with you as well. There is also a fact sheet growing hemp in the north. Thanks. That's that poster we did for Growing North, new products in global markets. We just want to say that, here's Indonesia wanting 10 million people to live in a new city, capital city, in Kalimantan or the old Borneo. We're only less than 2,000 kilometers away from Katherine and Darwin. We could be exporting straight to them the value-added blocks of hempcrete blocks, or in that middle photo, you can see kenaf and hemp, and you can see bales of fiber that Toyota took from Queensland. 400 tons of kenaf was also taken out of Queensland. So these crops grow. It's just a matter of getting the processing and the value adding organized. Thanks. So what is industrial hemp good for? There's a song about that. What is it good for? So low THC, clothes, textiles, ropes and canvas, insulation. That's the fiber, the outside. The inner herd makes building materials, wood, plastic replacements, and then the grain is for food and oil seeds, and your BMWs and Mercedes-Benz all have hemp in it already. My house is made from it behind me, and it's a new product that's starting to get out there. Thanks. So the fiber on the left in the bale can be used for high quality strength. It's the lightest natural fiber, but the strongest. The seed is the most nutritious, high protein, high oil seed around, and the herd, as we said, that's my blocks in the back of the ute, about to be, anyone can build in blocks. Hempcrete with formwork is more costly, whereas the blocks, if we get a factory here that can spit 1 million of them out, we're going to be in a whole new economic game of being able to do hemp building and social housing, because it means you don't have to have electricity for heating or cooling, because the insulation is the best in the world, bar none. Thanks. I'm not going to read all this. I'm just suggesting that there's lots of information. They say it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar crop. Biomass is taking over grain. We initially started with grain, but now biomass is getting traction once we get the processing happening. That means it'll be on for young and old for biomass or dual purpose crops, biomass and grain. AgriFutures is scaling up their research. We've got another 5 years of research after this first 3 years. We've now just launched another 5 years of research starting next year. Thank you. As I said, one Tassie there was mostly grain, but now they're converting to biomass as well, or stubble. New South Wales leading the way, and these numbers are going to double and triple over the next few years. What's happened is we doubled and tripled our grain yields from 0.5 ton to 1 ton to 2 tons. So we flooded the market. The price came down. They didn't want more, so the growers didn't get contracts to grow it. So it's a good thing we've tripled yields for grain, but it meant we haven't caught up on the market side. So there's good and bad in everything we do. Thanks. Now there, I don't have to say, there's the 2 northern sites, Kununurra and Katherine, at about that 14 latitude. If you look halfway between there and Narrabri, the next one, and Stanthorpe, it's about 20 degrees is Townsville. That's where we're growing a lot more, just south of Cairns. Mackay, there's growing more crops there. Now remember, this is the tropics, so it's hotter and wetter. Now, hemp can handle water if it's drained or it's on beds. Kenaf can handle it better than hemp. So we just got to do a bit of sorting out where. We also can grow hemp in the north in winter. So that means we can have 2 crops a year and grow our winter crops and supply the south with new varieties and double the seed turnover by having winter crops in the north as well as summer crops in the south. That's unique. We will have hemp growing all year round in Australia, all year round. Thanks. So you just got to put a fence and a lock on your gate, and don't even need a sign, but this is the sign you put on our trial sites. So they're industrial hemp variety trials, low THC. That's in Victoria. Next one. Growing conditions. Look, I'm not going to get into the detail of it, and you can ask some questions, but you know, don't believe Google. If it grows 7 meters tall, it uses water. It needs water. It needs nutrition. So it can use 4 to 10 megs, you know, if you really push this crop late, long season. But if for dry land, we only want quick, short season. So 3 months old. So they're completely different plants and maturities. And this plant has great diversity. So with that, we'll be able to really fit the right variety for the right place, for the right location, for the right sowing date, for the right purpose, for the right product. It's getting all those ducks lined up. Soil types, well drained. It can grow 1 to 7 meters. It doesn't like compaction. The roots are very sensitive to waterlogging and compaction. And crop management, seedlings handle -5 frosts. I've seen it. I've filled it. So we can plant this thing in winter, even in the colder areas. And flowering won't handle frost at the moment with the breeding. But imagine that. We'll have winter dry land sown crops that plant in winter and harvest in spring, like a winter crop in the cool, moist spring. Imagine having a summer crop that germinates at 5 degrees, not 15. That's a whole new world of cropping cycles and systems and opportunities. Thanks. I'm going to speed up. There's some unique things there with soil improvement in rotations. There's going to be some great work with livestock, which you Northern Territorians, and with cattle and your lease arrangements and land, what you're allowed to do with hemp and farming. If we can get the legalized to feed the fodder and the hay and the fodder forage crops, after the AgriFutures ticks the box on the THC testing, this is going to be a whole new world game for the north, for not just hay and fodder and value adding grain and biomass, but to actually be able to graze it. That'll be a game changer. Carbon trading embedded in the products and the soil and advanced products. Thanks. This is the grain. Have you ever seen a Heliothus? Sorry. That's hemp. It's like a nut. It is unique. It's got a very hard nut. But if you take that nut off, there's an inner soft heart. But there's a heap of protein in the heart as well as fiber. So it is unique. It's got all the omegas, everything you need. High protein, over 30%, oil over 30%. I mean, it is a true superfood. Thanks. Now, I'm just going to, while we had the seed there, see the top there, this is in mud, spray irrigation, watering it every second day, not waterlogged, light loamy soil, not germinating. Why? It's too bloody hot. Hemp has cold. It comes from Himalayas and Russia, so it can handle cold. Can it handle the heat? We have lost crops commercially and in trials. As soon as it starts getting soil temperatures over 35 to 40 degrees, look out. You could be in trouble, even with all the water in the world. Thanks. So, I'm a sailor, so I had to put that one in. And canvas, sails, comes from cannabis, doesn't it? So the strongest, natural, lightest fiber in the world. Thank you. That's my house behind me. The red wall's been painted and rendered, but that's the blocks. Even I could do that. Thanks. Hemp block. It's just a matter of education. Most people would not know what you're talking about. It's all about education. We need more education out there without all the negative. We just need simple education on this product and crop. Thank you. And since you're in Northern Territory, I thought that might be a hemp beer, hemp bottle. How big are those stubbies in Northern Territory? I'm going to have to find out. I think they're a litre or two. That's a question for the audience. Next one. Now that is a commercial crop with Wandara in Townsville on the Burdekin, on beds, beautiful grain crop, 2 meters tall, great yield. We just harvested a crop last week. This was in October, so we want to get them off before the wet. I can show you shot and sprung hemp. It does shot and sprung in the heads if it's wet and humid. So that's why we're growing winter crops, not summer crops specifically. That's a beautiful eco-fiber variety line in Townsville, in Wandara, on beds, and they got a good yield. Thank you. So I'm going to jump into some details on the left. There's 2 boxes, toss 1, toss 2. So March sowing and then April, May sowings. So there's 3 varieties stand out. What are they? King G, Han NE, and Han Cole. They're Chinese varieties. They're late maturing, long season. It's a no-brainer. And Yuma. See there, they're all pretty well. The other European varieties there are not performing. Not because they can't, it just means it's not suitable for them at that latitude, at that sowing date. Okay? We might have to share other sowing dates to get them to perform better. But at the moment, where we're putting them, they're not performing. Down south, those other varieties not yielding are doing really well in the 40 to 30 latitudes, no problem. But today we're just talking about the north, but we are doing all the varieties everywhere to see where they do well or not under different time of sowings. Thanks. Other way, same thing. One was the Ord, one's Katherine. So here's biomass. Sorry, that was yield grain, the other one. This is biomass. So exactly the same varieties that were tall, 2 meters, 3 meters tall. They're growing 14 tons a hectare. That's good biomass. So the high grain yields were also in the high biomass yield as dual purpose crops. Thank you. There you go. It's pretty chalk and cheese. The European varieties at these sowing dates on beautiful red soil at Katherine on the flat are not growing, whereas you look at some of the other ones, they're 2 meters plus and they're doing well. That's the difference. Chalk and cheese. This is the Ord Katherine on raised beds, heavy clay soil, non-waterlogged. See the variety difference, short versus 2 meters. So it's that same planting time, same response, a little bit healthier here maybe on that better soil. No waterlogging. The others were sprayed. This is flood and furrow watered every 2 weeks. Really good results. We did get a cyclone come through, a late one, this year in March, April, and did wipe out our early toss. So just be careful. Even on raised beds, when you get cyclones, you're in strife. Next one. There is your commercial hemp crop being harvested with a conventional single rotary header, green one, with a draper front, not a auger front. That crop is over 1.5 tons a hectare. We're getting over 2 tons now. So at $3,000 a ton, do the maths. Next one. This was my first crop with Phil Warner 15 years ago in the Hunter Valley. Beautiful loam soils, spray irrigated. I don't know how we spray irrigated that with it so tall. But we left runs for the traveling irrigators because it's all spray. So you can see we've windrowed it. That crop is 7 meters tall. And we're cutting it for biomass at post-flowering. It hasn't even set seed. It's still growing. It hasn't even set seed yet. And this is a biomass crop yielding 15 tons a hectare. Same thing, just a different car. Same crop, hay. You just got to be a bad lucerne grower. You know, you've got to rake the leaf off. The leaf's not allowed to leave the paddock. So unlike lucerne, it doesn't matter if the leaf falls off. It's just stem you want. So you can be a bad lucerne grower and be a good hemp farmer because you can rake the leaf off, and you can also have rain and mold. It doesn't matter because they often leave the hemp in the field all winter to rest. In the old days, before we had machinery to separate the fiber from the herd, nature did it with biology and mold and fungus. That's called retting or wetting. They used to put it in creeks and rivers and dams. So now we can do spray biology on to help that, or some products don't want it retted, so we bale it as soon as we can, just like hay, unretted. Horses for courses. It's not simple. This is not easy. It's difficult. Thanks. That's a dryland crop, potato country out of Melbourne, 50 k's up in the Dandenongs. 2 crops a year. That's column, Chinese variety. That's flowering. They cut it at flowering. It did 6 tons a hectare. So here's dryland going 6, and the trial's going 12, and the big crop you really saw was 15. So it just shows you what this crop can do, dryland. Potato country, not irrigated. We will grow this on higher rainfall country as well as lower rainfall country if we can grow it in that quick, early, moist spring for grain or for biomass. Horses for courses. Thank you. This is a new machine. You saw the corn silage Kemper front. This is a new version of a sickle bar, but 3 sickle bars going at 20 k's an hour. Watch the video for Vicura in South Australia. It's incredible. Or in WA for Gary. 2 of those machines are in Australia. Cheap, simple, easy. Thank you. That's a more expensive version, the Kemper front, where you're chopping it like a corn crop at flowering. 15, 12 tons a hectare there. Dry it, bale it, take it away. To the fact. Now, this is unique. This guy was just on the phone. He has grown 20 tons a hectare. Look at Landline 3 weeks ago. He grew 20 tons. He didn't put any fertilizer on it. He had Darling River, blue-green algae, Charlie carp dead mulch through the pump, and lobsters, yabbies in his tail drain. So it was all natural fertilizer, even though it was a world record crop almost of 20 tons. He's harvesting it with a Kemper front, and he's got grain coming off the top as well. See those rods, the two rods, the black tall, that goes up as high as the top of the header, so it'll cut the grain at 7 meters. Dual purpose grain. If you let it go to grain, you double the biomass. The herd gets thicker and more dense, like wood, rather than hollow at flowering. Think about it. Next one. That's his header, the biggest header in the world you can get, 550 horsepower. That's his view out the header. He needs GPS to steer that. So just think about it. That's a lot of biomass. Can you just go back? I just want to highlight that, sorry. That's a 7-8 meter tall crop being cut at Hillston at flowering, not at grain filling. Thank you. This is cotton gins. Now, we talked about all the infrastructure we need for processing, not just for grain, because you need to dry the grain. I'll talk about that later, another day. You need to harvest green because it shatters the grain and it falls on the ground. So you've got to cut it once and dry it, 20% moisture. The same thing with, that's why we were able to do grain easily. Processing, we haven't got all the equipment. We've got 7 decorticators throughout Australia, none in Queensland or the tropics. So we're putting it, typical Aussies, we bashed it through a cotton gin. It burnt it down, it blocked it, blew it up. But the guy said, give me $1 million and I'll fix it. In America, they're now trying to put hemp through cotton gins. We've got 40 cotton gins in Australia. We can grow hemp anywhere you grow cotton and kenaf. Why not use existing infrastructures? $1 billion worth of infrastructure there to process hemp. It's a no-brainer. As well as some other value-adding and alternative systems. You'll need both, but it just shows you what you can do. That's a round bale of hay that's can be conveyed up to the beginning of where your normal module or round bale of cotton would go into a cotton gin. This is at Tamworth at Carroll. AgriFutures has a trial in this with CSIRO. Look at the website. It's all there. Thank you. Now, we know how to grow cotton. So I'm just saying in the north and Ord, you need to cart it a long way. Same with hemp. They're road trains. Next one. So we're going to have to do the same with hemp. That's in the Hunter Valley, but you can only put so much on because they're light and they're bulky. So it's only 1 ton per 9 cubic meters. That's not a lot of material. So to do it, we need to value add on farm. And that header driver I just said, he's value adding with another machine that processes the hemp in the windrow or in the bale, feeds it through the pickup front, and is separating the herd and the grain, the herd and the fiber in the header. The herd's going in the grain box. The fiber's coming out the back. That is an Australian world first, and it's on Landline last month. Check it out. Next one is finished. I'm going to shut up now. I think we've done pretty well. Kenaf, I just want to show you, this trials was beside, I've grown hemp because we didn't know we were going to allow to grow hemp. So we grew kenaf just as a backup, but we got it approved, so no problem. It's a hibiscus species. You can't import the seed because it's like cotton, being a hibiscus. Therefore, you've got to be very careful with importing diseases. And this is what it'll do if you plant it at the right variety, at the right date, at the right time. Last photo. That's it. Questions, please. That's it. So there's the Australian Hemp Alliance, the Australian Hemp Council, there's AgriFutures, and there's myself. So if you want to leave that on for a while, I have got some products, but I prefer to answer questions if you want to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John, for that fantastic talk. It was fantastic to see, all the different heights and plants and systems and everything, and a little bit of data as well with time of sowing. It was fantastic. So I do not see any questions in the Q&A section, and at the moment we are running over time, so we are 25 minutes. Oh, a question has just come in. So it is by Jerry. So given the Katherine crop, will it do as well in Cape York? If so, we could use feral animals as an input.
I think I know where you're going there, Jerry, with the feral animals. But it's all about latitude. Yeah, it's just across the ditch, as you say, or can say, across the it's all about latitude and temperatures, and so you can grow it anywhere. Basically, it just depends on how far away you are. You could do local housing. You could mix it with other products. I'm not sure about the feral animals. What did you want to do with them, Jerry? I know you've got other projects, composting. It loves fertilizer. So, yeah, organic fertilizer, the more the merrier.
He has written hydrolysate.
Can Jerry explain that, or we've got someone else to question?
If you'd like, I think we are over time. So I know that you wanted to show some products. So would you like to move on to that one, and then you can definitely catch up with.
Yep. So let's go to the big screen. So just there's the BMP manual. So it's available online. Download it. Here are some unique products. Google Zeoform. This company is compressing whole plants. So they're not decorticating. So they haven't got the cost of decorticating. They're making pallets out of it. It's unique laminates. So that's one. You've also got sorry. There. Google them. They're amazing in Melbourne, what they are doing with products, and it's amazing. And here's the herd. The herd is like wood chips, basically wood chips. And then the fiber makes matting, whatever you like. So it's unlimited. Thanks, Jennifer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the talk and bit of demonstration for all the products. That was very exciting to see. So thanks for everyone for tagging along, for the capsules as well. Thank you.
The capsule.
So you have seen it on the last slide about the contact details, so feel free to reach out to John. And thank you so much again for coming along to the agricultural webinar. Next Friday, we are having another webinar series at 3 p.m. And it will be about guava root knots. So tag along to that and follow us on Facebook and everything. And have a fantastic Friday afternoon, and we will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
How big's the Northern Territory stubby?
Thanks, John. That was great. I'll see you later. Oh, and this will go up on YouTube. So if anyone wants to see it, we'll put it up there. Bye.
How many viewers did we get today?
17 viewers, which is pretty good.
Well done. Thanks, guys. Anything else you need?
No, I'll send you the link for the YouTube video once it goes up. And there's lots of people saying thank you in the chat box, which is lovely as well.
All right. No worries. Yeah. We didn't advertise the field days. Can we add that somehow?
Yeah, I'll send it out through my networks, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, put it on the. I've given you the dates, didn't I?
Yeah.
June
next year. Yeah.
June next year, we've got field days coming up because that'll be flowering time. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. All right, John, you have a lovely weekend.
I'm trying. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
See ya. Oh,